In this video, I'm going to show you how to change the two drive belts on this Yardman lawn tractor by MTD. This is an older machine. I have a couple of videos on this already. And today I was going to work on the valves before I put the belts on, but the belts are so twisted underneath, I can't turn the engine to get the valves to move. Anyway, to change these belts, I don't have a diagram on this, so I'm going to be poking and prodding to get this out. You got to get your battery out first. Then you get the battery holder out, and you can see where the belts are going to have to go. It looks like I might have to take this piece off over here to get the belt around, or I might have to take the back wheel off. I'm not sure which direction I'm going to go with this, but first of all, I'm going to get it off my ramp. This is what I use to work on when I'm outside working on these machines. I'm going to drain the gas out of it. You should be able to turn it over once you have the gas shut off, but I want to make sure that gas is good. I'm still having a few problems with this, with it running properly, and I want to get it ready to move out. So first I'm going to drain this gas. I'm going to roll it off the ramp. I'm going to get it onto the lawn. I'm going to flip it on its side. Once I have that done, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back and I have it on its side. You can see under here, oh, by the way, I have a chair on the side holding it up so it doesn't roll right over. You can see under here I have a mess. I might have been better off cutting my losses and parting this out, but then we wouldn't have this video to make. This is the main drive belt from the engine. Now, to get this belt, well, to get this off, I'm just going to cut this, and you'll see why in a minute. But to put the new one on, either this nut has to be taken out, and this has to be pulled out. I'm not sure how easy or how hard this is going to be to get out. I might go for just bending these tabs. And if you do bend these tabs, you want to watch that you don't pry against this pulley, because if you bend this pulley, then you're going to have to change the whole assembly here. Otherwise, you'd just be changing the belt again. Now this belt is pretty worn. It's probably the original. And the way this works is this belt goes one pulley, and if the camera could pick it up in there, there's a pulley up here which goes back. I don't know if the camera's picking this up. I'm pointing it to where I think it should be. It goes back to the transmission in the back there. When you step on the clutch, brake clutch, you can see it relieves the pressure. Now, something happened over here. This belt snapped, and it looks like part of this belt got tangled up with the belt in the back. And I didn't want to cut it because I want to make sure the belts I have are the same size. I wanted something to compare it to. I went according to the specs that I found at MTD and online. I checked eBay, Amazon. I have a link to Amazon down below if you're interested in these belts. But my first priority now is to get this off. I'm gonna take this pulley off because I want to make sure that this pulley works the way it should. This pulley's supposed to slide back and forth, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just not sure on how to get it off. It looks like I'm gonna have to release this spring, and there's a bolt that goes through. It feels, I can't see it. I don't know if the camera could get it. It feels like it's more like of a belt guide, but that's held on by this. I don't know what's holding it on the other side. I can't. Oh, there's a nut back here. Let's walk around. Let's see what we got from this side here. You know what? I might be able to pull that pulley off just from the top. Okay, we'll see what's going on. I'm going to get my air impact, and I usually use my Harbor Freight electric impact, but the switch went out on it. I tried repairing it. It'll tighten, but it won't reverse. So I have to run an extension cord, get my compressor out here, and get the air gun, and I'm going to take this off. I'm going to start with this nut first right here and see how I make out. See if I could get those belts off without cutting them. And if not, I'll just cut those belts up. And to release the spring, it looks like either way, I'll probably have to release the spring over here. And you could either use a piece of wire and a string or a rope to pull it, or I have a brake tool that I generally use when I take these off and put them on. It makes it a lot easier. I'm going to get this pulley off, and I'll be back to show you what the pulley looks like and measuring up those belts. Alright, this is what I got done so far. I pulled the front pulley off, and this surprisingly came off very easy. This belt must have been replaced once before because somebody put never sees on here. So this slid right out. I'm going to make sure I clean this up and put a little more never sees back on. Plus, I'm going to get this on the wire wheel, and I'm going to clean this rust off a little bit. This rust will chew up your belt. So I'm going to clean this up before I put it back on. And this required a 5/8 socket to get this bolt out. This also required a 5/8 socket. When the front pulley came off, it comes with a washer and a lock washer. You want to make sure you put it on the same way. And when this came off, what I wanted to check was to make sure that this slid up and down. This is what changes your speeds when you're shifting. See, there's a little rust on here, but it is moving smooth. It is moving somewhat smooth. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to hit it with a little brake cleaner or carburetor cleaner, and put a little bit of oil. Got to be careful with the oil. You don't want it on the disc itself. And the top part of this, you have to take it out from the bottom, because the top part, there isn't a nut. It's just this. Let me get this. It's just this clip ring. And when you put this back on, there's two washers, and there's this plastic washer. I'm assuming this is to keep water from going down into this and freezing it up. And I'm going to clean this all up, re-grease it, put it back in. I'm not sure what to do with this over here, if I should put a little bit of oil on it, or I might put, I'm just going to clean it up a little bit because it feels a little stiff. Okay, and when this goes back on the bottom end, there's the nut, and then there's washer. Now this washer is cone shaped. When you put it on, you want to put this part that's protruding outward towards the nut, and that gives tension on the nut. It keeps it from loosening up. Although with all the rust, I don't think you have too much of a problem with that. Now to get this off, this piece was in the way. There was just a cotter pin in here with a washer, and this is a little stiff. I'm not sure how free this is supposed to move, but I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to clean all this up over here, and I'm going to lubricate this a little bit on this side. You want to just be careful with when you lubricate this, that you don't get oil onto where the belts are going to go. Now this is the belt that I just took off, and you can see this saw the best days of its life. Although I got to be honest with you, if the other belt didn't burn off and I wasn't selling this, I would use this until it came off, because I always have an extra tractor on hand if one goes down. This is the belt that jammed everything up, the back one. So now I have to get this off, and to get the other one on, I want to check this pull. You see this pulley back here? I want to make sure this spins free too. This idle pulley. It's a little stiff right now, but I think it's because this belt is wedged in back there. So let's see what we have here. That's on this side. Okay, I'm going to flip this back over and see what I have to do to get this back belt on. First, I'm going to take care of the pulleys in the up front. Then I'll flip this back over and see where we have to go from that point. This is what I've done since you've seen me last. I cleaned off this shaft over here. I'm going to apply some anti-seize on it, so if this has to come off again. I buffed out this the best I could, but can't get this rust off. Also, inside this pulley on the top and on the bottom, there's these needle bearings. I don't know if the camera, if you can see it in there. And what I did, I used brake cleaner, and I kept flushing it out. I got all the grease out of there. I'm going to repack that with grease. Not sure what I'm going to use to pack it in with, and look for a dowel or something to get it in there. And this pulley that has to slide up and down, I sprayed some brake cleaner in there, let it dry, put literally two drops of oil in there, and I kept spinning it around, and I used a light rag, and I used like a shoe shine just buffing it back and forth, doing one side, doing the other side until it came out clean. So this moves up and down with no problems. Very loose, don't have any issue with that. When you put this back on, you want to make sure you have the key in there to go into the keyway. Otherwise it's going to spin on you. And one thing I missed before, I noticed after I shut the camera, on the bolt that goes through that pulley, this I left on top, but on the bottom, besides this concave washer, there's a flat washer. So that fell off. I didn't catch it before. So now this goes back on. I'm going to run the belt through. I'm going to I'm not sure how I'm going to get to this. I want to make sure this pulley's loose, but I'm going to flip this back over on the other sides, see what I'm looking at. But for now, I'm just going to take care of this pulley. This piece has to slide back and it has to be put back together. And I'll put the belt on, and then I'm going to flip it over. And see, now when I took this apart originally, there was a piece that came out. I'm not sure where it goes in. I think it goes in over here. There's a slit. There's a piece similar to this. I have it in the baffle when I took the deck off. In the previous video, if you're interested in seeing that, I pulled the deck off, repainted it, and I repacked the bearings, cleaned the bearings, repacked them, and reinstalled them and put it back in. So the deck is in the garage now. It's in good shape. The blades are sharpened. Everything's ready to go. They're sharp and balanced. I just have to get this together. But for now, just going to put this back together, flip it over, and we'll see what we have. All right, ran into another little snafu. First, I took this pulley off. You need a 7/8 socket for that nut. And if you don't have an impact gun, borrow one, because you're going to need it for something like this. This job isn't really a bad job. It's a little time consuming, and I don't have a diagram, so I'm going by the way it looks. Now, this belt, this is what's left of it. It looks like it would go around the pulley, and it would come out. It would come out, and you can see where it's going behind. There you go. You see where it's going behind this lever here. This is to put it in neutral, forward, or reverse. So I'm going to have to flip this over again and take this piece off so I can run the belt that way, because the way this looks like it should go is that the belt will come out from behind there, go around the pulley, come back up against this tension pulley over here, and there's no way to get it around this without taking it off. And I checked this pulley over here. This pulley's fine. So I'm going to be flipping it over, putting that belt on, taking this off. I don't know what I'm in for over here. I can see these springs over here holding this thing. This looks like a tension spring here. I have to keep an eye on that. I don't see any washers. I'm working outside. I wanted to drive this into the garage and do this. But like I mentioned earlier, today I was just going to work on the valves out here and get this thing running right, and then put the belts on. But this is the course I took. I don't know how much I'm going to get done. We're getting some heavy overcast over here, and it looks like it might start coming down soon, and I want to cover this up. I don't want to leave this all out after I cleaned everything up, and I have to get the compressor in, the tools in. So this will probably be finished tomorrow. I was waiting for the weather because we had a few days of rain, and got the grass cut. You can see how it grew up under that trampoline. But have the lawn down, and I'm going to flip this over, get as much done as I could before the rain starts, and I'll be back tomorrow with this all together. Okay, it's the next day and the rain finally stopped. It turned out to be real sunny mid-afternoon. Anyway, all this has to come off again, and I don't know if I showed this properly on the last section. This goes to the brake clutch. So you have this cotter pin, a washer, and now the spring has to come off so I could get enough play to get that belt on. And also this belt guide is solidly attached, so this has to move. There's no way to get that off. Now another way of doing this is going on the other side, removing that C-clip, and maybe pulling these pulleys straight up. But I believe when I put this on, I did it incorrectly. You hear that grind? this pulley's touching down below. I believe this washer belongs on the other side of this latch. So now I'm going to show you how I get the spring off using the brake tool. I have this string over here because this brake tool didn't have enough width in it to pull the spring, so I'm just using it for leverage. Focus this camera here. Right, I believe I have that in. Okay, that looks good. Now, use this part to go under the spring, and you'll see why. Get it under. You want to be careful with this. There's a lot of tension on the spring. Stretch the spring out and then you release it. I hope the camera caught that. Yeah, it looks like it should have. All right, and you just slide this out. This string has to be a little shorter than the distance to give you the leverage that you need. All right, get this off. All right, that takes care of the spring. Now I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to take this nut off, put the washer on the other side, put the belt on, and reattach it. Once that's done, I'll be back. Now it's recording. All right, Johnny's going to be my cameraman now. I have the belt, the top belt on, I have the bottom belt on. Now I have to get this bolt into this hole over here. Earlier I pointed out how this washer had to go on the other side. This washer stays on the bottom side towards the nut. This washer has to be on the inside of this bracket. So Johnny, you hold the camera for me. Okay, could you stay focused on that for me?
Yeah.
Okay, try not to shake it too much. I know sometimes it's hard. All right, I have to get this in there. I gotta reach around the other side. I bumped you. Okay. Let me know. See this washer?
Yeah.
If you see it fall off, let me know. Because I'm working blind right now. Right. I come back on this side. Okay, I gotta come up. Am I getting near it? No. Yeah. Oh, I got it in. Okay. Did the washer stay on?
Yep.
Okay. Now that washer should give it just a little space that it needs to clear this rivet. Still seeing it?
Yep.
Okay. The washer, the part that's protruding forward, is that showing?
Yep.
Goes towards the nut. It acts like a spring. It keeps tension on the nut so it doesn't vibrate off. Get on the other side and push it through a little more. All right. Now I'm going to use the impact wrench. I have my Harbor Freight Chicago impact wrench. As you recall earlier, I mentioned it only works in one direction. It'll tighten but not loosen. So this is easier than taking the compressor out. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to hold the other side with a pair of channel locks because there isn't a nut on the other end of it. Just that C-clip. Put this on the nut for me. Just,
the nut?
Yeah, put that on that nut. Can you get it on there for me? Is it on?
On.
Is it on?
Nope. Nah. On.
Okay, watch out. Get back. go. Okay, that's tight. Did you show that, John?
Yep.
Okay, now, let's see, what are we looking like here? Oh yeah. Alrighty. Come closer with the camera. This has to go back over that nut. That's why this had to get taken off. What happened here? Getting all this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought we lost a piece. The piece fell out. See, this is all the way over now because that belt's on. See how tight the belt made it?
Mm-hmm.
Before, this piece was all the way over here. But because the belt's on it now, it's all the way down here. Look at that. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta oil that up a little bit more. Okay. Getting a good picture of that?
Yep.
Okay, this gets a washer and cotter pin. I should have grabbed the new cotter pin while I was in the garage. You're moving too much. So that's taken care of. Now, the trick shot with the spring. Whew. There's a spot for the spring. I don't see it now. See something. That's why that went all the way back before. Okay. The spring starts over here. Now this is going to be tough putting it on. A lot tougher than taking it off, it looks like. Because this is all the way forward, see? This is... Okay, let me make sure these belts are okay before I do anything else. Belts are on the right way. They're looking pretty. Now before, the clip for the spring was all the way up here. Now it's down here because the belts are putting the tension on it. So I have to get this back a little bit to get that spring. Now what I did to get this back was to go on the other side and put it in the highest gear. When it goes into the high gear, this gets tightened here and it brings this whole lever back. Okay, John, hold that for me. Now we're going to use that brake tool again. Show it over here. So this goes on like this. Goes under here. And get the camera down. And we want this to come here. Again, we're going to use the string because this isn't long enough. And now you can see this isn't quite long enough. So you're going to have to do a little pulling. You got that in view, John?
Yep.
Get your hand out. Get your hand out. You're going to get your finger pinched. Thank you, though. Okay, watch out. Okay, once that's in, you got it? You showing it?
Yep.
Once that's in, pull the spring, come around. This comes right out. And because of this, when that string comes out there, you just pull it around. And you take it out of the string, you just pull this out, it comes right out. Now that's on. But okay, I got it running. Now let's see how she does. Well, it works. I have to be honest, I thought this belt, this front belt, was a little too big because it's a little loose, but it worked in all the gears. First gear is really slow. I don't believe it was as slow as this one the old belt was on, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I rode this one. You can see 6 and 7 really move, and that's coming up this hill. This is a steep incline over here. Pushed me right up with no problem, and I'm not a lightweight, so it looks like the belts are working. These belts look like they're pretty heavy duty, and they should last. I have a link down below to Amazon where you can pick these belts up if you like. Also, I just want to mention, I mentioned in a few other videos, if you enjoy this video, you enjoy my channel, give it a like, post your comments or questions down below. It does help with the channel. If you buy through my Amazon link, it's an affiliate link, I do get a small commission on some of the products you buy, not on everything, but on some of the things, and it helps the channel. It's no additional cost to you, and I greatly appreciate it if you could buy not just lawnmower parts, but go through my link. You could start with lawnmower parts, and anything you buy, when you go through that link, trails back to me. So now, for the rest of this tractor, this video was on how to put the belts on, and I have some work, some cleanup to do on this to get it ready to get it out of here. And in the link up above, I do have a couple other videos just on this tractor. I mentioned it earlier on taking the bearings out of the deck, cleaning the bearings, repacking them and putting them back on. As you went through this video, you could see that I wasn't familiar with this tractor at all as far as the drive belts. I had one similar to this, a Montgomery Ward's, where the drive belts and whatnot was similar to this, but not exactly the same. Matter of fact, I think the deck might even fit on this. A lot of these are produced by MTD, and other companies put their names on them, little variations. Like, there's a lot of variation with these pulleys down below. But for now, guys, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this video or found it useful, and pass it along to someone else who might enjoy it. Until next time, stay safe.